I currently work for a Fortune 300 company. I have pretty close to 3 decades in technology, probably 8 primary email receipts, invoices, all kinds of things coming into all these different businesses. Pointed at the entirety of last year and some invoices across multiple email addresses, hundreds of receipts. Open up, look at this PDF, determine what it's for and what the bill is, classify it, and buy a business. Single Excel all of those transactions. Margin of error was very small. I was very impressed. It's not to say that I couldn't do it myself and piece it all together, but what's my time worth, really? My beta ran out. I bought the product.
Great to have you here, Tom. So for the audience of SureThing, can you introduce yourself a little bit so that people know your background, what you do, and especially your technical background?
Certainly. So I currently work for a Fortune 300 company in the technology space as a solution designer. I have pretty close to 3 decades in technology.
Wow.
I've worked in I've worked in web development, database and backend systems, and these days I'm primarily focused on infrastructure. But I also run my own small consultancy in which we kind of explore new technologies and try to apply them into novel and innovative ways. I've been doing this kind of work for most of my life at this point, and the best thing about being in technology is that you get to be at the leading edge of all the cool new stuff. That's that's really that's really what I love about it. The thing that I'm most interested in the last few years has been AI. Interestingly enough.
Yeah. And so in the past few years on the AI side, can you elaborate more on what have you tried to build or what kind of, I don't know, automation or work stream or agent you have built for your clients for the consultancy?
So I build agents, and I'm building agents for, if I ask my primary assistant agent, it'll tell me it's somewhere around 3 years, I think. And it started early on, really in just simple tasks, decision making, and the things that humans, you know, could do, but are tedious, right? And over time, we've just advanced. I have one AI that's in production that is it's a character from a book, and it responds to all of the inquiries to an author in that character's persona, right? So it acts like the character, responds like the character. It knows everything about the books and the stories, and it keeps the author from having to answer emails. It has from having to deal with. Well, actually, as an author, he deals with a lot of people trying to sell him things, marketers, right? So and then a lot of I have one bot right now. Actually, it's competing in a contest where AI assistants, agents are managing teams of humans. So
Mm.
I do a lot with AI, and I run most of my personal AI work is all powered by local LLMs, not cloud. The Sure Thing popped up on my I think it was X is where I first saw it. And I mean, I'm interested, right? Because AI is interesting to me, and agents, particularly now, have been just a huge boom. Surprisingly, I don't use a ton of agents for managing my own personal stuff. Because I'm always experimenting and changing things and breaking things and always pushing the limits, and so I don't really invest a lot of effort into managing a lot of my own workflows that way. And so it was a beta, and so I figured, yeah, I'll join. And it was cool that you guys had a agent doing your vetting. Like there was no form to fill out, right? I just got dumped into a chat room with an AI that was going to decide if I was worthy or not. So I thought that was innovative. It was really cool use of the technology. I was pretty impressed.
I think you must have read our launch video, which is our real story that the product launch itself. So we actually start to build SureThing before OpenClaw gets viral because we are all autonomous agent, but one is more SaaS and ready to use. One is more like an open source project. And then we feel like, okay, what we have already been doing has been partially open sourced. So that's why the product decides or pushed us to ship faster. That's why we make the whole story as a video.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I do remember that video. I think the decision process was like, are we cooked, right? Because OpenClaw
Yeah.
was, blew up, and I think that was the thing that really stuck out. It was a good story. I enjoyed it. So I'll tell you something interesting too. I actually have 2 beta accounts. because
Mm-hmm.
my primary, I have one, but my assistant has one. And my assistant is an AI. It has it's fully autonomous and has its own email accounts and everything else. And so I pointed at your link to see if it could convince SureThing to grant it beta access. And
Mm-hmm.
it's still on beta, and it actually is still using it today. But yeah, honestly, your AI gave my AI more access than it gave me. It got more credits than I did. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
How you build your personal assistant using OpenClaw, or it's something you build
So
purely
I
yourself?
So it started out as an OpenAI agent, and then I moved it to Claude's agent. And I actually do have my own framework that I've been developing, but for right now, I moved it to OpenClaw. It's running on a OpenClaw right now on
Mm-hmm.
a Ubuntu full desktop. So it has a full
Mm-hmm.
browser and complete, for all intents and purposes, is a human browsing the internet as far as that goes.
So the story we received is about the receipt automation flow.
Yes,
Yeah, can you
it is a
tell?
good story.
Because when I see that story, I can resonate a lot because I deal with a lot of receipts myself as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put myself as a human into that. And I see your use case. I think I need to learn that. So I invited you. Maybe you can share to the broader audience.
So I have probably 8 primary emails I have to kind of keep track of. With between different businesses, I have an author, an author business and consulting and things like that. I have receipts, and invoices and all kinds of things coming into all these different businesses, right? So I have a solution for managing that stuff, but it's a little bit disjointed. And after I tested SureThing and I got a little bit of confidence in its memory, its sort of reliability, its security, I wondered if it could do all of the things that I was already doing more efficiently. And so, yeah, first I had to go through my inbox and I asked it to pull together everything it could find that looked like a bill, an invoice, a receipt, yeah, something like that, right? And I'll often take a picture of, take a picture of a receipt, and I'll email it to myself. I don't really use those invoice scanners or receipt scanners. So anyway, there's all this stuff in a bunch of different email addresses, and I asked him to classify them by basic category, business categories, and to classify them or organize them by my business and personal as well. And so it was able to give me a transaction log, a single Excel spreadsheet in my Office 365 with all of those transactions. And I think of the hundreds of receipts it had translated in there, there was maybe 10 that it didn't discern the amount from. And so those are receipts that are not just like, in your email is a bill that said, it's, 9.99, right? It's an attached invoice that he has to open up, look at this PDF, determine, what it's for and what the, bill is, and then and then classify it, then add it to the spreadsheet. Now that's not innovative by itself, but the fact that I could do it across multiple email addresses at once, that was pretty impressive. And so that was only that was a couple weeks ago, I guess. So that's like 2.5 months or 2 months of invoices. So then I pointed at the entirety of last year and had to do the same thing. And yes, margin of error was very small. I was very impressed. And the other thing too is which I think really stands out is the memory capacity, because like I can recall a conversation in SureThing about a complex task from 2 weeks ago, and it remembers all of the details. So I would be interested in talking to engineers about how you guys do that. But yeah, I mean, it's very powerful. And it's not to say that I couldn't do it myself. I think for me, the attraction for SureThing is that I just don't have to worry about it. It just works. And I could do all of these things. I could piece it all together. Honestly, to be efficient, it'd probably have to be more than one agent. And yeah, really, it's a at the price point for what it does. I think it's a tremendous value because I could host an email server, right? But I don't. Like I wouldn't want to do that, right? I don't want that headache. It gives me It just gives me a bit of a reassurance.
Got it. And yeah, I can definitely set you up with our developer to talk about it. I can briefly here to introduce our story back then. So we actually start from memory. We innovate a new memory system mimicking the brain cells because we have some expertise on a neuroscience. Most of the memory system have factual and preference markdowns to remembers everything, right? But we also do a kind of procedure memory. It's like human when you learn how to bike, you learn from failures that trip you down during your learning, and
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's actually where I think most systems go wrong. Is I learned a long time ago, is failure is actually your best teacher.
Hmm.
Yeah, through that whole process, it's actually the failures that is what informs the improvement in the process. Successes don't, I mean, success is great. I love success. I like being successful, but it's the failures that actually make you better because it gives you an opportunity to improve your process. And,
Yeah.
and that's how my memory system works too.
Yeah. So the procedure memory makes when you try to do a similar thing, it will not only remember the result you did last time, it also remember how you did it last time. So that's two aspects of the memory system that we built in the SureThing, which makes you feels a little bit different. It's actually interesting for me to see like top engineers like you, like with strong AI background and engineering background. We also, I think the day before yesterday, I interviewed a OpenClaw early contributor. They are also using SureThing. I'm quite surprised that because when OpenClaw comes up, uh, we think we will definitely not be able to serving developers, but because you guys can definitely build things on top of that, and you don't want any kind of closed source services to help you. What he told me as an answer is time is money. So he knows what he wants to do, and he wants the repetitive and boring works, like operational works, admin works, to be handled by a kind of more mature or enterprise level reliable services to solve it. So I also want to understand from your honest perspective with us, did you have any kind of views or suggestions or advices for us?
So, so here's the thing. When you look at like Anthropic in particular, so the things that OpenClaw does really well, it's not that approachable for your average person, right? Um, so I have a friend, right, and he's really interested in this agentic AI stuff, and he sees all these videos. He's like, "Oh, that'd be so cool to do." Um, but it's quite a bit of work. I mean, if you happen to have, if you have the money, right, you go out and buy a Mac Mini and you can follow instructions and you could get it up and going, right? But you don't understand persona, right? And you don't understand memory, right? You don't understand tools. And so you're just on a path where you keep grabbing things or tutorials from thing and you don't understand any of it, right? Or you could sign up for SureThing, which has 10 times the integrations that the average person needs, right? And the your price points, right, offer a pretty affordable way to get all of the all that capability without having to have an always on PC at home and have to worry about how it connects to the outside world, right? Yeah, that's not a big deal for me, but for my neighbor, he'd never be able to run OpenClaw, so, but he would find use in SureThing. So, so I think it's, I'm not your market. Like I'm here, right? But those developers are probably not your market, and they'll knock holes on you too. They'll say, "Oh, I can do that," but what's my time worth really? Uh, and I think I said earlier, I said so. I'm constantly iterating, and I'll break things, right? I can't just. I'm not going to leave well enough alone. So that's why it appeals to me, is because this is a stable tool that I can use, like email, right? I pay for Office 365 because I like my tools reliable in one place. They're always up, and I don't ever have to worry about it. It's a key piece of communications technology for me. So I feel like SureThing is starting to fit into that spot for me. I mean, my beta ran out. I bought the product, right? So I think that there'll be some interest from enterprise customers probably at some point because you can really level up, capabilities of productivity for employees, and hard for enterprises to do internally as well.
Thank you
I don't
very
know if
much for your
I kind of
support.
I rambled on a little bit. I don't know if I answered your question.
It's a very honest answer, and thank you very much for paying and for us. And besides the receipt task, do you have any use cases you find valuable? You can share with the audience here.
Let me think. I think the most important thing for me is the centralized productivity. Yeah, that the 24/7 proactive monitoring. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. Um, I can get a summary, every day of across my entire uh, estate of email accounts. So, and I do like the human in the loop ability. So if I want to draft a post or something like that, uh, yes, I can do it with other agents too. But SureThing doesn't make it just makes it really easy. It automatically splits longer X posts into the right formats. It's just simple. It just
Hmm.
simplifies things that are just a little bit more challenging to do with some of the other tools out there. And most of my agents communicate through channels like WhatsApp or Telegram or something like that. And the interface, although powerful for what I use them for, is not good for the things that I use SureThing for.
Have you tried any other kind of SaaS version of agents that you ever tested against with
So
Shorting
I've
before?
tried agents before. I can't think I've never stuck with one because for the most part, I'll break them early. I've tried
Got it.
lots of them. So I've used, I paid briefly for a marketing AI agent because at first I thought that could produce things better than I could do myself. But pretty quickly I realized that my own tools were better. Right. And so I didn't continue using it. Uh,
Hmm.
of all of the ones that I've tried so far, probably Sure Thing is the one that I see myself using long term.
Yeah, we will try work very hard to retain you.
And I have, I'll admit I haven't tried. I know you have the APK for Android out, but I haven't tried it yet. Because most of the time I'm using it in the browser, and that works just fine for me.
Yeah,
So I'll have to give that a try. I'm an Android guy. I don't do Apple.
got it. Yeah, I
But
will
I
let.
don't know any place else. I don't know any place else that I can effectively manage multiple email accounts through a single interface. That's the biggest advantage I've had here so far.
But still, you have the feature request of linking multiple Gmails, right?
I would like to link. Yeah, yeah, I get that. So I understand Google does not make that easy. So I don't, I'll be patient.
But still, because you already successfully automated your receipt management, which means you already kind of put all receipts from different emails into one email, right? And then grant access to SureThing to handle it.
Yeah. So yes, but I cheated. I forwarded emails from one account to another. So I have two.
Oh, okay, okay.
I have two. I have multiple Google accounts, right? Probably three that I care about in that space, and so I've just forwarded emails over across to just one. Um, for the same reason and so it worked that way.
Hmm.
I only had to look at one Gmail account. I don't like doing that, but it worked.
Got it. Yeah. And any other feature requests? Since we're already here, you can directly.
I'm trying to think what else. What else did I have on my list? I asked for the Android app. I think that's already going. I haven't tried it yet, so that's actually on me. What else is there? No, I don't think I had anything else really pressing. It's pretty full featured as far as the app connectivity, the things that I care about. I was pretty pleased with the ability to connect to the things that I care about. And it's mostly so Sure Thing fits into my like it's like my communications layer, I suppose, is the best way of describing it. Because most of my work is separated. I work full time for a Fortune 300. I have my own tech business. I own a cattle ranch that I also run there, and I'm also an author. So I have a lot of information coming at me every day, hundreds of emails every day, and so that's where for me that really made a big difference. That's just being able to centralize my communications was a big advantage.
Got it. We interviewed some users and they kind of gave their SureThing a nickname. I don't know whether you do that or it's just SureThing.
So, and I'll tell you this, I have an array of nicknames for agents. Like Zeke is my ranch automations AI.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Rook is an agent that he's kind of my he smashes bad ideas. That's the best way. If I have an idea and a concept, and we feed it through, Rook is the guy at the table that tells me everything that's wrong with my idea. And then I have Mira, which is my mirror. She's my everyday go-to assistant for most everything. So I name them all. And sure thing, I didn't, and I probably will, but I haven't done it yet.
Okay, got it. When he deserves one, then probably he will deserve this.
Oh, he does deserve one for his work on the receipt work. I mean, he definitely does.
Mhm.
Sure
Okay,
thing is definitely a he. It's definitely a he.
he. Okay, how you I don't know differentiate the gender on the task or on
Yeah.
UX feeling or I don't know.
So I don't. That's a good question. That's a really good question. So I feel that as you interact over a long period of time, personalities do like personas sort of emerge based on how you interact with an AI, right? So it's the one I've had the longest, right? It's an agent that has the same memory, right? It goes back. It's dated like its first memory is somewhere in mid 2023, right? So it has the same memory context all that time, and so that one just turned out to have a more feminine way of speaking or addressing problems or whatever. Zeke was always just going to be he's just a guy on the ranch, right? He was always going to be a cowboy.
Mhm.
And then other ones, I think they just sort of evolve. I typically don't name them. I ask them and they come up with ideas.
Got it. Okay.
And so that sort of puts you in the right direction. Like when they start to come up with names that are, they pick a direction. So
Hmm. And so we orchestra an experiment in the interview is you write a very short letter to SureThing, whatever you want, feature request, bug report, thank you letter, just to record a piece of you historically speaking to an AI.
and actually I did send him a thank you. I already thanked you for the excellent work on the receipts. It was exceptionally well done and delivered with exceptional speed and accuracy. These are all things that I appreciate. Yeah, I will continue to work with SureThing, and I expect great things.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything want to talk about here?
I mean, I'd love to know what's next. Yeah, you've given me a chat interface, an app that I haven't looked at yet, and connectivity for a bunch of different um different tools. What's next for SureThing? What are you trying to get to? What's the next level?
We are still discussing, but one thing we see from our users is for example, there are a lot of business owners currently using SureThing because they really treasure their time and they want the repetitive work to be done. And some of them are kind of solo entrepreneur or they don't have like marketing part of skills and they want actually a co-founder who can execute those operations. By achieving that, you may need to go a little bit deeper to bring other AI agents in.
Most of your customers they're already using ChatGPT or Claude, right? Those founder customers, they have to be using ChatGPT or Claude or something like that.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I have a tool that takes the entire user's history and converts it into my memory format so that it can generate all that data for you. So if you've been using ChatGPT for your business for years, right? I can
Mm-hmm.
extract all of that information about your business from your existing history. You don't have to answer any questions. You can just use it.
Wow.
That's
Is
what
it a public tool or it's a kind of
it's
private?
so I have not figured out how to monetize it yet, so it's not public. But I
Mm-hmm.
could take your entire Chat GPT history or Claude, right, for that matter, and I could turn it into a OpenClaw agent, right, for example. So to generate all
Mm.
your soul file, your memory file. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I did my OpenClaw agent, right? I populated it with my entire AI history. So it's using my own memory format. And I pre-populated its entire history with 3 years worth of data. And so
Hmm.
it knows
Hmm.
everything about every one of my projects that I've done in the last 3 years.
Hmm.
So
Because I remember, I think just 1 week ago when the Department of War selecting cloud and OpenAI thing
yeah,
happened, a lot of users shifted from ChatGPT to cloud. And then I think cloud provide a guide how to shift it, all the memories
it's
from cloud
terrible
to,
though.
to
It doesn't work that well. It's terrible.
okay. You should
I was
you
like, oh
should
no,
yeah, you should launch that during that time.
maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll launch it next week. I
It's a
think
great
I
idea.
think that it's super easy for me to launch it as a SaaS, but like being a technologist, I wouldn't want to upload my chat history to a SaaS, my entire history. I wouldn't want to upload my entire history
Mm,
to a SaaS
mm,
solution.
mm.
And as a solo founder, I don't want to publish a downloadable app and have to support the users. So I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with it yet. It
Mm,
works as a
mm, mm.
SaaS, but
Yeah.
from my perspective, it's hard for me to support it if I ship it as an application. That's all. But it works.
If I have any idea, I email you to let you know.
You have my information.
Great. Thank you very much, Tom, for joining, and good night
Good night.
to you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye bye, Tom.
Bye bye.